Antje Fiedler, and I'm an associate editor of the Journal of Small Business Management. Today, I have the great pleasure to engage in a conversation with Professor Ricarda Bouncken about her important research on how co-working spaces offer opportunities to develop social and professional networks for users. Ricarda holds the chair for strategic management and organization at the University of Bayreuth in Germany. Her paper, Contextualizing Founder Identity in Co-working Spaces, co-authored with her colleagues Katrina Brownell, Hilmarius Gantert, and Sasha Kraus, was published in April 2022 in the Journal of Small Business Management. Welcome, Ricarda.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for introducing my work and to pay attention to what we did.
It is a very popular paper and had received a lot of attention. So to start with, I would like to ask you if you can tell me where the idea for the paper came about.
So co-working spaces is something that really pushed my interest, I think already 5-6 years ago. These co-working spaces started to flourish everywhere in the world, and people started to go there. And strange thing is, I first came across that in Beijing when having some meeting with very officials and so on, and then they said, oh, we prepared this street here, and people can work. And I said, what's that? And then I started to look around, and then I said, okay, it's also starting in Silicon Valley, and then it really came as a big wave also to Europe. So that's something that I was finding very interesting in the beginning, as something that I said, oh, what's happening here? And then, of course, you look when you are involved in this, you see different persons, identities, and those things. So that's why I was interested in lots of different things, and we had a huge research grant also on how to organize innovation in co-working spaces. But this topic of founder identities was something that hit me just by, I would say, looking around, watching, perceiving the behavior of persons. Because when you walk into the co-working space, you can see some are working, some are at the coffee and social area, and some seem to live more on that social area, and others just keep working. So that was something that I found very attractive, and so we started to go and look into that matter more deeply.
Fantastic.
Very interesting. That was the motivation. Yeah, and maybe from the kind of coming from the board, why is the topic interesting to the founder identity?
So in terms of theoretical contribution, what do you think is the most interesting insight?
So I think there has been also very interesting work by Mark Gruber on founder identities. So that's something we hooked on in terms of the theoretical domain. I mean, you can do lots. Identity is such a huge topic. And I find identity, and not only individual identity, but also organizational identity, very interesting. So when you think about where is our theoretical hook and where's our theoretical contribution, then I would say it's also, even so it's individual level identity and founder identity in particular. But I think we also can reach a little bit more out even to the whole identity discussion, because there are so many identity angles. You go to a co-working space, and it's not just only because you have a specific founder identity, but it's also because you feel that your identity fits to a co-working space, and perhaps to a certain co-working space. So that's why we also found in the other studies a lot of relationships between what kind of co-working space do we have here? What's the identity of that organization? How do people feel attracted? So that's why I said our contribution is at once to, of course, for the founder identities, especially the work that Mark Gruber and others have done, especially those with these specific founder identities. But I think there is even there's more. We could also contribute to the identity literature, especially when you think about further research. Yeah, that's something we can, and I think, contribute to.
Thank you so much for sharing this. And as a final question, I'm also interested to learn a little bit about what you think are the most important implications for policymakers and practitioners.
Oh, policymakers and practitioners. Now you really got me on a wrong foot. I think of course, policy is a lot more. Yeah, so I'm not sure if I can answer that question.
Okay.
But only that we have of course, the entrepreneurship domain looks at better entrepreneurship conditions, and we also know that co-working spaces have been a greater topic for those, and also the whole accelerator thing has been big for many years. What we also can see is that this social area is something where you have some knowledge exchange, even by those that are maybe more Machiavellistic, more directed towards only making money, but still they go in to maybe absorb ideas, to find talents and so on. So I would say for policymakers, I would say don't hesitate too much. Yeah, if you call that accelerators or co-working spaces, the potential to support socializing and social procedures is essential. So for policymakers, maybe a little bit of rough suggestion. Yeah, keep on doing it and keep on financing it, and don't only provide office space, provide some other room for experimentation, for meetings and so on, because that's what makes the difference, not just having that's a kind of a physical cluster. And for practitioners, now that's the question, who is the audience? So is the audience the individual entrepreneur, who might find, at least in a co-working space, a better environment, and that might find teammates in the future for their venturing projects. But so that's of course, so I would say try it out to find out if there is a fitting one. And maybe also, as we have this big trend of homework, home offices, I would also say for the individual entrepreneur, the lesson would be check what you need a co-working space at some stages or at some hours. So maybe just stay at home is not the solution. Because you will more or less just keep on exchanging ideas on media. So so maybe reach out and try. Of course, you need to find out at what. That you need to be there when there's when it's full, not when you're alone. No, so that's a little bit of simple suggestion. And then of course other audiences would be companies that seek to improve their entrepreneurship, and especially before Corona, we've seen a huge trend that companies go into co-working spaces to help them break up their more rigid structures. So I mean, that's true. That's still true. So so perhaps do it. And as I've seen also in other studies where we looked at different things, that these looking across what others do, observing others, being stimulated by the environment is a huge trigger of innovativeness in general.
Yes, I can really imagine that and feel the energy when you talk, that might happen in that space. Fantastic. Before I come to an end, is there anything else that you would like maybe to share with the community from Journal of Small Business Management about this research?
Not really, but I think still a co-working space is is an interesting topic. You have to be now more specific in it, and I've seen a lot of get lots of papers to review, of course, because I've done so much work in co-working spaces, and it's really sad because a lot of that research is very, very practice orientated, and they just looked into 2-3 papers. So I really hope that there is more research on co-working spaces, but I'd also really hope that those scholars also read a little bit more about the literature. So not just, okay, co-working spaces, there's not much here, but so I would really hope to find more proper, theoretically grounded papers so that you really can move forward, yeah, and not stick and kind of reinvent what's been there. So please do, yeah, research in that area. And there are lots of things to explore.
Thank you so much, Ricarda. I really appreciate you took the time to talk to me today, and I'm sure that people will be inspired and now want to read your paper. The full version of the paper is available at the Taylor and Francis website of the Journal of Small Business Management. So I'm sure I will have another go at it and read it and see what I can do in the future. Thank you so much again, and pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I'm very happy to have that interview and to have a little bit of accelerator for my thoughts.
Thank you so much. All the best, Ricarda.